Hello, my name is Henry Baker. I'm telling you this story because I've reached the end of the road. If what I say sounds strange and you choose not to believe me, I'll understand. But please listen carefully. This story may not only save my life, but perhaps yours as well. I'm the manager of a small town called Oakridge. Our town had always been peaceful and quiet, but everything changed a few months ago when people started disappearing. It all began when young Tommy came into my office. "Mr. Baker," he said, his face pale. "Mike is missing. He hasn't been seen in 5 days." At first, I thought there had to be a reasonable explanation, but the very next day, Emily disappeared. Then Peter, Anna, and Misty. Everyone had the same question on their minds. Where are these people going? As the disappearances increased, the townspeople turned to the police for help. The officers came, asked a few questions, and left, saying, "We'll continue the investigation." But nothing changed. By then, all eyes were on me. The people wanted me to do something, but I had no idea what I was dealing with. In the following weeks, I organized night watches with the town's young men, hoping to find any trace of the missing. The first few nights were uneventful, but on the 4th night, we spotted a truck on the old farm road. Next to it was a classic Cadillac. Both vehicles stayed there for a moment before quietly disappearing into the darkness. Another night, we decided to stop the truck. As we approached, the inside was shrouded in darkness, almost as if a fog prevented us from seeing inside. Suddenly, the engine roared to life, the headlights blazed, and a blinding light engulfed us before the truck sped off. Before we could recover, we saw the Cadillac again. An old man stepped out. His face was obscured by the brim of his hat and shadows. Something about him made me uneasy. As he walked toward me, I felt a strange weight press down on me, an unexplainable dread. My body trembled, my chest tightened, and it felt like the air itself was being drained. My legs buckled, and I collapsed to the ground, grasping at the dirt as everything around me faded to black. When I woke up the next morning, I was lying in an empty field. The truck and Cadillac were gone, leaving no trace behind. Back in town, nobody believed me. "A Cadillac? What are you talking about, Henry?" they asked, laughing it off. But I knew what I saw. That's when the dream started. Cold, metal walls, a harsh light shining from above, silence. But I wasn't alone. I could feel unseen eyes watching me, and every time, the same words echoed. "Your turn, Henry. Your turn." Things got worse. One morning, I found a strange symbol drawn in the dust outside my house. That same day, Ethan, the town carpenter, knocked on my door. His father, George, had gone missing a week earlier. Before he disappeared, George had been walking in the woods at night. Ethan found a note in his father's room with a symbol, the same symbol I had seen outside my house. A few days later, George returned, but he wasn't the same. His eyes were vacant, and he muttered, "They're watching, they're calling, they're coming," over and over. Ethan showed me what his father had carved into the floor, the same symbol. I began researching the town's history. In the 1940s, there had been a massive fire at a factory on the west side of Oakridge. Rumors said that secret experiments were conducted there, but nobody took them seriously. The cause of the fire was never discovered. Ethan and I decided to visit the factory ruins. The area was silent and lifeless, the buildings abandoned and crumbling. Among the rubble, I noticed something, a symbol carved into a wall. It was the same one. Then we heard it, a sound, like a rusty door creaking open. There were no doors anywhere, yet the sound surrounded us. We fled, too afraid to stay any longer. The dreams grew more vivid after that. The same metal room, the same chilling words. "Your time has come, Henry." I couldn't ignore it any longer. One night, I took a flashlight and made my way to the factory alone. The town felt like a graveyard, silence hanging heavy in the air. At the ruins, I found an old rusted door I hadn't seen before. It creaked open, revealing a long tunnel lined with symbols that seemed to tell a story. I followed the tunnel's call, deeper and deeper, until I reached a large circular room. In the center, there was a table surrounded by shadowy figures. Their movements were rhythmic, unnatural. In their hands, they held something, A device, perhaps. On the table lay a map of the town with specific points marked. Before I could understand, I felt it, a pair of unseen eyes turning toward me. Panicking, I tried to flee but failed. The sounds grew louder and I hid in a small room, slamming the door behind me. The noises are still there. They're close. I can feel them. I'm recording this because I have no other choice. Whatever I saw in that tunnel, whatever plan those symbols represent, it's real. I don't know their purpose, but I can feel them getting closer. The air is growing colder. They're here. If you're hearing this, it may already be too late. But you must pay attention to the symbols, to the eyes. They're not just watching. They're calling. They're coming.